Welcome to the WrestleTalk News. I'm Pete Quinnell. After a somewhat shaky 2022 and 2023 for AEW, it seems things are starting to look up for the promotion. Their quality of pay-per-views hadn't really dipped, but now they seem to be putting on consistently good TV, good wrestling. The C2's going down as a success so far. They're finding their feet again after what had been a real rough patch. Which is why it's so surprising that one of the higher-up names backstage in AEW has reportedly been let go. Dave Meltzer originally reported, which was also corroborated by Fightful, that AEW's Vice President of Post-Production, Kevin Sullivan, was fired. AEW Senior Vice President and co-executive producer Mike Mansury made the call to him, with Sullivan having been with AEW since October 2019, the same time that Dynamite launched. It was clarified by Impact Wrestling ring announcer David Penza on X that Sullivan was the VP of post-production, meaning he would have been responsible for the studio that edits Rampage, video packages, and promotional ads, and not the live production side of the company. What makes this firing so curious, though, is the information around it. Also in Dave Meltzer's report was the fact that Sullivan was very highly thought of, and that he built the entire AEW post-production team. So, what happened? We don't know, but there's some real question marks around this. As Meltzer notes, there were a lot of questions going around regarding what happened, as the firing has seemingly taken many by surprise. Kevin Sullivan then posted on X to say he wasn't fired. Wait a second, that's the wrestler Kevin Sullivan. No relation to this Kevin Sullivan. Nice one, Kev. There's obviously a lot of news surrounding this story we don't know yet, so stay tuned to WrestleTalk.com for any and all updates. Meanwhile, there's been some legal issues brewing in WWE because main event Jey Uso was in the actual main event last night. That's wild. And since splitting from the Bloodline, Jey has continued to be massively over. His entrance getting big reactions, his matches being continually great, and now he's got a whole new line of merch with Yeet chants getting over too. So considering they built this whole new Jey character around the Yeet chant and merchandise, you'd think they'd make sure they could actually do that first. Wouldn't they? So Yeet, as it turns out, is reportedly trademarked according to SE Scoops. The trademark was reportedly filed in 2021 by a wrestler from West Virginia called Casey Huffman. WrestleVotes report that the word and merchandising will no longer be associated with Uso going forward. Yeah, good luck stopping those chants. Maybe they'll still use Yeet, but just change the word ever so slightly, like take out one of the E's so it becomes Yet. Yet? It works, right? Now, here's some news to add to the pile of holy sh**. 2024 is going to be a nutty year for wrestling. Sports Illustrated is reporting that Kazuchika Okada is set to become a free agent in early 2024, at the end of January specifically. And not only that, he is reportedly seriously entertaining signing with AEW or WWE instead of re-signing with his current home promotion, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okada appeared on Dynamite back in October, which was partially done to further his Wrestle Kingdom match with Bryan Danielson, but it also reportedly was to give him a better sense of how AEW works and runs. WWE would be the other possible destination, where Okada has been the subject of many reports for years regarding WWE interest in him. There's no doubt that both promotions will be pushing heavily to sign up the arguably biggest star in New Japan today. Okada to AEW confirmed, or Okada number 30 in the Royal Rumble confirmed. That would be legitimately insane now that I've said it out loud. My God. Over to Luke.
Thank you very much, Pete. But before we get into the Raw review, it's time to hear about another potential Match of the Year candidate. So joining me for the first time in quite some while is someone who assures me they are on the nice list. It's Mark Markuson. Mark, welcome back.
Oh, Luke, the pleasure is all yours. This week's Match of the Year candidate was a piece of technical class. It was the very picture of competition, a well-worked contest featuring one of the premier athletes in the game. At Black Label Pro's Slamilton event, Shazza McKenzie took on Sean Ross Sapp in a street fight. They started with a lockup before Sapp hit a very clean drop toe hold. It appeared he might have sustained an injury, but he bravely pushed through before the brutal McKenzie brought a kendo stick into the equation. McKenzie took full advantage with some lethal shots that could be heard echoing around the greater Berwyn, Illinois area, but Sapp was able to swing the momentum back in his favor, drawing on his well-documented MMA training by locking in a wicked knee bar and slamming her with an unbelievable Impaler DDT for a breathtaking near fall. But McKenzie managed to slither out of danger, and in a heart-stopping climax, she hit a vicious spear to send Sapp crashing through a doorframe and picking up the victory. Luke, I just thought it was outstanding wrestling.
I get it now. I get it. It's all a big ha-ha joke. It's funny. Yeah, no, it's good. It's a good one, actually. No, I enjoyed that.
What do you mean?
Well, because that was a comedy match. It was a joke match for charity. And it raised a lot of money for charity as well. So,
I think you'll find it was a piece of wrestling history, and I loved it. So I'm going to give it 33 stars.
Dan, it was a joke.
Who's Dan?
Mark, it was a joke match. Like it was there to raise money, and it did a great job in raising money for charity. But like, yeah, I mean, you can't be serious.
No, you're not serious, all right? Miss me with your tribalism.
Dan, Mark,
Who's Dan?
Mark,
I don't know who Dan is.
Mark,
Sick of this.
or Dan. It was. I think that's probably enough from Mark or Dan for this week, because it's time to review Monday Night Raw, aka the episode of Monday Night Raw, in about 5 minutes. The show opened with Drew McIntyre cutting a promo saying that someone left the company and has come back looking for a bigger spot on the card, which, funnily enough, is also the Drew McIntyre story. This elicited some CM Punk chants, as it was reported that nearly 2,000 extra tickets had been sold for this show based on the return of CM Punk, who, sadly, was not here tonight. Drew continued his promo and it brought out Sami Zayn, who said that he worked and overcame his adversities to headline WrestleMania, and asked the question, "Are you making your family proud, Drew?" I mean, I don't know about that, but I can tell you what Drew is doing. He's ripping off Dan Layton's truth gimmick. This led to Drew versus Sami, which was as great as you would expect it to be. It was all built around a very simple spot of Sami tweaking his knee, doing a simple axe handle from the middle rope. It got worse throughout the match, meaning Sami could barely stand or do a running dive. They call that selling, Seth. Drew gave him a chop block and Claymore for the win. He later battered Sami backstage. This was a great presentation of Drew McIntyre. Byron Saxton interviewed Shayna Baszler about Nia Jax, and Jax interrupted a Becky Lynch promo to point out that they never actually did anything off the back of Jax breaking her face that one time. This led to a match between Jax and Baszler that was way better than you'd expect it to be. It put over Jax strong as she survived the Kirifuda clutch and squashed Baszler in the corner with the banzai drop. Becky then came out to face with Jax after the match. This was pretty good. Pete and Dan made another appearance on Monday Night Raw in the CM Punk video package, which still pops me every time, and I guess the way we're all just cool with Ciampa now, as they chummed up with him backstage before Imperium walked in to do some lame comedy. That Miz feud has really rubbed off on them in a bad way. DIY then beat Imperium in a 2 out of 3 falls match that was pure PWG in its final fall. The issues between Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser continued, and Vinci blamed Kaiser for the loss and said that he would need to explain it to Gunther, who we later saw scolding Kaiser in the background of another shot. This action was fantastic, but please stop breaking up Imperium. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven made fun of Tegan Nox and Natalya, saying no one buys their friendship. I agree, and I guess that feud must continue, as Natty says she wants to go for those tag belts. Speaking of tag teams, the Creed brothers trained with New Day, and Alpha Academy walked in so all the Raw tag teams could stand in a row, and Maxine did some squats with Tozawa. Wrestling. The Judgment Day have spent a large portion of 2023 feuding with talents like Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins, and Cody Rhodes, often opening and closing Raw. And they're going to finish 2023 by feuding with R-Truth. You know what? Good for R-Truth. He's a former NWA World Champion. Truth had broken into the Judgment Den and messed things up for them, which set up a match between Judgment Day Job Squad of Dominic and JD McDonough to face off against the Creeds later on tonight. The Party Girls then took on Tegan and Natty in a pretty sloppy match that the crowd weren't all that into. There was a light Tegan chant at one point, but the loudest person in the match was Natty trying to get Tegan chant started. But despite the backstage segment we saw earlier, it turns out this feud must not continue, as the Party Girls won, and then they booted Chelsea Green off the apron. Cody Rhodes came out for a promo to call out Shinsuke Nakamura, but Nakamura only appears in video form these days, and he explained why he attacked Cody. And it's actually quite brilliant. Nakamura explained that he and Cody have a similar story. They both won the Royal Rumble. They were both destined to win the championship gold at WrestleMania, and they both came up short. And Nakamura's loss saw him spiral, so if he can't finish his story, he'll finish Cody's instead. It's great motivation, and Cody challenged him to a match that will take place next week. This was all very, very good. The Judgment Day Job Squad then did the JOB to the Creed brothers, who looked awesome, particularly Julius Creed, who ran wild with suplexes from the hot tag that got more and more over the more and more he did them. Great stuff. Dom and JD then told Damian Priest backstage that he should take the Creeds seriously. We got a big recap of Randy Orton signing with SmackDown, and Adam Pearce told Seth Rollins that CM Punk will be on the show next week because he wants to sign him to Raw. Seth laughed at this and said that it's all gonna blow up in Pearce's face when Punk shows his true colors. I am so ready for corporate man Punk. Rollins also chatted with Jey, who said that he's been working 15 years to get a shot at a singles world title, conveniently ignoring that he's had quite a few bites of that apple, one of which was only a couple of months ago. But they did do a great job in hyping this match up. Jey got a brilliant video package earlier in the night, and Michael Cole spent the whole show putting over what a big opportunity this was for main event Jey Uso. And while the crowd were more hot for CM Punk earlier in the match, get ready for those Punk chants ruining your favorite matches, everyone. Jey and Seth actually got the crowd into the actual match, and the guys in the ring doing the wrestling with their wrestling. Sort of. They were more into Jey, and they really wanted to see Jey win, and were more or less fine with Seth Rollins. There actually were some light boos when Rollins won, but the majority enjoyed the very good wrestling on display. Jey was given 2 massive near falls, one off a spear and another off a spear and a splash, but it was a Rollins stomp that put him away. Seth's back was so bad in this match that he did multiple dives. They call that bad selling, Sammy. Drew killed Jey after the match and put him through the announcer's table. This was a very good edition of Monday Night Raw. The crowd may have paid to see Punk, but what they got instead was a solid night of wrestling. This week's show is 4 out of 5. And speaking of Punk, Ollie Davis went back and looked at all of the times one Bill Phil shot on WWE, so you should go and watch that right now.